good afternoon and welcome at Meet Hotel Amsterdam. Thank you for coming out in these turbulent days where everybody's worrying about what's happening in the world and come here to this beautiful venue, the Heineken Experience. I realized that if we had this meeting in Mexico, we would have the Corona Experience, and I think we made a better choice today. Meet Hotel is the first global industry event connecting hoteliers to the future of hotels. Earlier this year there was a successful version in Istanbul in Turkey, and we're very happy to hosting you today in this beautiful venue. We have an exciting program put together for you, a program that keys into the future, and while we're all focusing on the tragedies that's now developing in our industry, what we really need to do is also look forward, because we all know this is a problem that's going to be with us this year, but we are quite certain that in the future we will have other challenges and exciting things that come towards us. And that is what the focus of today is about. As you all understand, these events are made possible by sponsors, and we have a lot of partners that make this event possible. I'm only going to mention those that are powered by big sponsors. And that is, of course, Bidroom, it's Attached Language Intelligence, and it's Hanos, and they have made this program possible. We have a series of speakers that are going to enlighten us on industry events, on factors that are shaping the industry as we know it. And it's my distinct pleasure to introduce to you our first speaker. It's James Lemon. He's founder and CEO of the Growth Works. They activate strategic partnerships of the tech world and hotel groups. James has 2 decades of driving strategy, commercial, and operations within global brands across travel and hospitality. He brings deep domain expertise, insight, and a broad perspective to our industry. The title of his address can also be useful in your personal life because it's called Managing Your Partners for Success. The floor is for James Lemon.
That's great. Perfect, got time right there. I've been home for 7 days, so don't ask me about managing partners for success. I've got a lot of explaining to do when I get back. Great to be here in Amsterdam. I got off a plane after a week with Intercontinental in Atlanta. And I think you're going to hear a lot of consistent messages today, which is incredibly difficult trading situations, but let's also look to the future. What I wanted to do is tell you a little bit about the Growth Works and our work with IHG, because we've been working now for about a year on partnerships. I've got a hypothesis that the future of this industry is going to be about helping hotels unlock the amazing talent, technology of smaller businesses out there. You're going to meet a ton of them around today. Everyone I speak to is doing some breakthrough bit of kit in the industry. The Growth Works exists to translate, to introduce hotel companies to the right partners to help them unlock what they need to get done. Now, I made a few changes to this presentation last night, but in light of the week that I've had and the month that all of us have had, but really I want to do 3 things. Firstly, let's talk about what hoteliers need most, and let's talk about where specifically use of some of the kind of third parties out there can help. Secondly, I want to give you some examples of profitable partnerships and some of the lessons learned, and also to share a few case studies, because I think talking about value in rooms revenue, in non-room revenue, and in cost savings is probably top of everyone's mind today. So the Growth Works was founded really on 2 principles. Principle 1 is we are at a time of unparalleled opportunity in this industry. There are businesses emerging every day. There are businesses that have been going for 5 to 10 years who just get guest experience, who just get hotel operations. But we also have an immense challenges in this industry, that they are still incredibly underutilized by pretty much all of the hotel chains that I've been chatting with, whether that's national players across Amsterdam and continental Europe, or some of the bigger regional or global guys. Which brings me to my second hypothesis, which is that it means partnerships must be complex. It must be hard to win a partnership. And it's also really time consuming. It actually takes time to find the right people, to onboard the right people, test the right people, and then finally to scale and manage. So we started the year by saying, well look, we've got a hunch as to where we're going, but we certainly don't have all the answers. What do hoteliers need most right now? If they're going to engage the growth work and say, yeah, I get it, partnerships is hard, where do we get started? These are the three things that came back consistently. One is, where can you help me right now? Where is there a 3-month payback? If I plug someone in, if I get my executive team in a room with someone, how fast can I see returns? So we're talking to them about things, sort of some of the Oki team are here today, we're talking a lot about things like upselling, we're talking a lot about day rental, we're talking a lot about gift vouchers. Gift vouchers have been around in this industry for decades. And yet, quick question, how many people have live gift vouchers to buy on your hotel websites? So a couple. Right? What an amazing opportunity. Mother's Day is around the corner, Valentine's Day, and again, pretty recession-proof, actually, because they last for years. So real revenues that hotels can bring in right now. The next up, no surprise, is sustainability. Absolutely on the agenda of every leadership team out there. And maybe they've got a full-time resource looking at it. But what they haven't yet unlocked is the dozens of amazing, talented tech businesses out there that do everything from offsetting to waste management, to energy management, to recycling. So we're looking at a wide range of partners and trying to bolt together a team of maybe 5 or 6 partners that we can bring into clients and say, look, here's your answer. This could be a portfolio of partners that gets you moving faster. And then lastly, no surprise, is distribution. You know, obviously a wealth of leisure channels out there that the industry's been debating for years, and the relationship between direct and indirect bookings. Now I think that's supplemented by a lot more talk about corporate travel, winning that midweek business, those longer stays. So we're, in our clients, talking about some of the fun stuff, the great partners that are out there for some of those opportunities. And then other areas, people are talking a lot about restaurants and bars and food delivery. So people talking about Glovo and Uber Eats, and should we embrace that, or is that the enemy? And obviously, people also talking about the bigger systems, you know, often PMSs, but there's a huge groundswell talking about revenue management, talking about, you know, should I have one of these big systems? Should I be building something myself? Who to use? And then what's that tension between people and technology in the world of revenue management? This is the slide I added last night, which popped up on my LinkedIn feed. So this is STR's chart yesterday about the impact on trading right now. So I know that sitting here talking about a 5-year plan for sustainability partnerships is probably not what hotel chains need to hear today. But what it does tell me is that it's going to be harder and harder for hotels to think about anything except for the next 6 months. A quick question, who was in the hotel industry in 2008? Show of hands. Okay, and who wasn't in the hotel industry in 2008? So we've actually got a whole generation of people that have joined us since the last downturn, and I'm sure that's something that will be on our minds today. I think look to some of the elders in the room to tell you it's not the time to panic. It's not the time, and I think there's something unique, having spent a lot of time with clients in the last 4 weeks. This is not the time to be crashing price. You are not going to rebuild your base business through pricing discounts. But it probably is the time to start talking about who are some partners out there that you could bring in for some expert help. You know, is there a way to unlock more revenue from every guest? Are there new revenue opportunities you just haven't looked at because you've been flat out for 12 months? Obviously, you're going to be looking at costs. There's some incredible players out there to help with things like staff automation and reducing some of the manual work doing behind the scenes. And then lastly, and I'm sure you'll hear it throughout the day, it's going to be about preparing for the bounce back. You know, again, scientists, and I'm not a scientist, but scientists are saying this could be, you know, 6 months of impact, and who knows where the economy is going to go next. But there should be a lot of pent-up demand, you know, as the events and meetings come back, as people rebook their holidays. We can talk a lot about what you're doing in that space, but I think what's interesting is, will you have the right foundations in place to build a stronger business than ever as the fight for business comes back? So why are partnerships the answer? Well, look, I think one is that they are plentiful. Again, you see it around the room today. There are lots of people out there that claim to be able to add value to your business. And two is, it's a bit less risky than doing it yourselves, especially in a cost-constrained environment, but particularly as I look at the HQs of hotel chains. You're never going to build yourself an entire partnership capability. It's always priority 5 or priority 6. But actually having an expert come in and address a specific problem you've got means they share the passion for it, they have the expertise for it, you get learnings from other businesses, and you probably share some of the kind of financial. But it's really hard to do. It's really hard to do, and that was the insight for our business. One is just laying the foundations of research. Where do I want to play? Of all the things that James has just spoken about, where should we get started? What's going on in our restaurants and bars? What's going on in our distribution channels? Actually doing that research, not just to meet the first people you find at a conference, but actually say, well, who else plays in that space? And who might be right for me culturally, priority-wise, financially-wise? Next up is around launching. So actually getting all of your teams aligned to say, yeah, this is the right partner. Your finance teams, legal teams, anyone in technology is happy that they can work with this. Well, how do you measure what's working? How do you get the hotel to adjust to a few processes to run some tests? And then lastly, and probably most importantly, ongoing management. Are you working with a partner that can give you dashboards, that cares, has got skin in the game to really help you kind of make this work for months and for years? And are you doing enough to share what your priorities are? Again, we see a lot of partnerships being managed for cost, not managed for performance. You've really got to manage these guys for performance. You've got to be open about what your strategy and priorities are, because the partners will probably surprise you with some of the solutions you've got. And so this is what we do, and this is what we exist for. And so why us? I think firstly we've spent, I'd say almost 2 decades working with hotel groups through downturn, through good times, and around the world. We worked across branding and marketing with people like Intercontinental and IHG, with people like Marriott, but also some of the smaller, more regional players as well in the UK and in Europe. We also work a lot in the alternative accommodation sector with some of the Airbnb property managers, service departments, hostels. And we know technology. So far we're building something called the Foundry, which is 50 of the best curated partners that we think drive hotel performance at lightning speed. And so we've done some vetting, we've done some due diligence, we've negotiated some scale partnerships with them for the smaller hotel chains. And that exists to drive profitable partnerships over time and improve a hotel's bottom line, which I'm sure with the week you've probably had is more important now than ever. And we've done it before. So we, Oyo, whether you love them or hate them, 5 years ago I was working with Oyo to embed them into the world of corporate travel. We kind of worked with them at Travelport. In the Airbnb space, Hostmaker, where I was COO, was the company that launched what is now Marriott Homes and Villas, getting the world's biggest hotel company to agree that Airbnb homes was a good idea. Took time and a lot of cultural shifting. And then right now we're in IHG and we're just launching an Oki partnership. We're doing some great work in some of the categories I've talked about, like sustainability, distribution. But now's the time. The big groups are waking up to the power of these smaller players. They just won't get these things done themselves, and culturally they just don't move fast enough and figure it out. And so to leave you with some kind of thoughts on some of the people we can work with, we absolutely know right now everyone is obsessing with marketing and sales. Have you done everything you can to bring in experts to say, look, for the next 3 months, the next 6 months, what can I actually do to drive real world performance? We're talking a lot to people about live booking. Again, just who has meeting space in their hotel? Quick show of hands. Keep your hands up if you can book it live online right now. So we're working with a lot of partners in like Meeting Booker, Meeting Package to help people book a meeting room as simply as they book a hotel room. It's absolutely where the future's going to go, but the future's now. You don't have to build it yourself. There's great companies out there. And if you talk to the travel management companies and the corporates, that's how they want to book. And right now, that's the stuff that probably isn't going away as fast as the big meetings. So people still need a 10-person boardroom, a 12-person kind of team getaway. And then lastly, in the back office, we're doing some really interesting work around staff automation. So we've made up a new word called partnervation. I got told if you don't have your own cool new word, then it's not worth getting out of there. So it's all about bringing partners together, but this is not about brand new innovation, right? The GrowthWorks is not an incubator. We don't sit here with someone with 20,000 euros of funding and a great idea. Our partners have got thousands of hotel customers already. We just find them the next ones. We're all about helping hotel companies unlock proven partnerships and get moving fast. So I do want to share some thoughts from a hospitality company, because this is our kind of launch client. We've got IHG on a contract for the full year. We're really there to do two things. One is design them this process from start to finish. How do we decide what areas to go after, all the way through to embedding and scaling partners. And two is they've got us going on projects, which is firing us at areas which are lower priority for a giant like them, but in each one there are just millions or tens of millions of euros worth of value. So the first one, Oki will be very familiar with. So again, great example, when we first came across Oki, they were in 15 IHG hotels, and I actually didn't even know that. Right, so we're now working with Eric and the team to make them an accredited partner and scale them across the estate. But the value that companies like this have, again, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of euros. And right now, that's the perfect thing to do to optimize the value of every guest. The second one, not sexy at all, is gift vouchers. But IHG was finding when it was converting hotels into the brand, the website just wasn't set up for gift vouchers. They were just losing that money. But for some upscale luxury hotels, the gift voucher business can be worth €1 million a year, particularly around Black Friday and Christmas and Mothering Sunday and Valentine's Day. And again, another relatively kind of downturn-resistant area. So it's all about working fast. How quickly can you get these things working through procurement and then technology embedded wise? And IHG does the big partnerships really well. I need to be here to talk about some of these amazing strategic partnerships. So Concerto, a brand new cloud-based kind of CRS with Amadeus. IHG Connect, every one of IHG's hotels, you walk in, you get exactly the same technology experience on the internet. And IHG Studios, so finally controlling your room, controlling your stay through your TV. That's where the dollars are. But what they don't do really well is work with the little guys. And for them, a little guy can still make millions of dollars of euros, but they just haven't built the central team to cut through the silos, to cut through finance, commercial, technology. And they just don't have that expertise in making it work small. Because again, it's tricky. Research, launch, results. That's got to be the mantra we come up with again and again. So just a quick step on our vision. We want to take what is today a consultancy approach. Today we come into businesses for a day and then we agree a project to go after or to help you design a framework. Or if you have a partnerships team, we supplement that with kind of warm, experienced bodies. But the dream is we build a tech platform. What if hotel companies had a place to go and checklist what they wanted to go after? What if partners knew how hotel companies work? What if they knew what the priorities were and the steps they had to take to get that green tick and be accredited? So we're building a platform that brings together the hotel chains of the industries and the partners. And for hotels, we want to keep it really simple, just one place you can go and log in and see how all of your partners are performing and how you can supplement the existing business with that. But that, for now, honestly, is a dream. So where do we start today? Well, look, there's a 5-step process to doing partners well, right? And it's a playbook that works time and again. We've tried it dozens of times. One is really good strategy. Really good strategy. Where's the biggest impact you can have in your estate? How are you planning that? And we call that our partnership audit. So we can come in, it can be for as short as a couple of hours, it can be as long as a week. It's about digging around in your hotel for opportunity. And right now, it's all focused on immediate trading. It's like, where can we help right now? And we're doing this time and again as people realize that they've got a really tough few months ahead. Then there's this identification, mapping the market, understanding what works and what doesn't. What some people call procurement, it's that accreditation, that due diligence. Is this going to work? Can we integrate it? Are the companies safe to work with? All of that stuff. Testing, we're very data, metrics focused. What was it like at the start? Have we put the right process in place? Measure, test, learn, let's get this stuff going. And then lastly, scaling. never underestimate. This is never one and done. You need to be there checking it's working every month, every quarter, using data, using discussions and aligning on culture. But I do want to talk about this year, I do want to talk about your next few months. Honestly, I would just get started on something. I think a lot of hotel chains think now is the time to batten down the hatches and just work as a management team to fix your immediate problems. I'm here to tell you, I think you should do the opposite. Now is the time to bring in amazing experts who obsess and are passionate about making your hotel chain stronger. You know, what are you doing to drive the value of every guest? If you aren't using a tool like Oki today, now may be the time. If people are arriving, they still want to have a great guest experience. They still want to understand what else they can buy and experience at your hotel. Identify new revenue sources. So we've just launched a partnership with Glovo and another one with Uber Eats. If your kitchens are quieter within guest staff, why not use them as a dark kitchen for someone like Uber Eats and start pushing them out to the rest of the industry? If you haven't done an energy management review or a water management review, you know, these companies don't exist to make you invest millions of euros. They exist to make you save tens of thousands of euros. So water management, energy management. We talked about live meeting bookings. So that's another one. If you have meeting rooms and demand is drying up, now is the time to get on some of these distribution platforms and see, you know, Carlson Wagley, Amex GBT, they use these kind of partners and they're still booking smaller meetings for local teams. These are the times to talk to them. And then lastly, prepare for recovery. You know, do still think about things like sustainability in your cost management approach. They're great. You obviously need to save costs in the next few months, but you're doing it in a way you're going to be really proud of when the recovery comes. You're doing it in a way that's sustainable, so you can say to your guests, we're a stronger hotel, we're a stronger brand than ever before because we made the right steps. So power up your performance with partners, absolutely advice I leave you with, or you know, for this climate, maybe it's more about protect your performance with partners. So don't get left behind, kind of 3 ways to engage. One is we'd love you to follow us on social media. We've got a monthly newsletter, so you can see Sophie, we've got a little stand at the back. 2 is we're building a community of hoteliers passionate about innovation. So if this is a discussion you want to get involved in, we have a mentoring program for hotel chains. We're doing advisory boards as well. And then 3, of course, is this is something that you think you and the leadership team need to look at more closely. You know, give us a call. We can start one of these partnership audits and just get started. And I am definitely out of time. So thank you so much and have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much, James. Please don't walk away yet. Are there any pressing questions from the audience? We have time to take 1 or 2 questions. Well, everybody still hesitant, but I'm tempted to, I found it a very interesting presentation, and you talk very passionately about partnerships. If we compare our industry to others, if you have that overview, how do we do on partnerships in the hospitality industry?
I think it's probably been widely recognised the hotel industry in the last 10 years has not innovated as fast as it can. You know, if I look at the average hotel or small hotel chain, they are, and no one would describe us as tech first, except for perhaps a few exceptions. And I think because of that challenge, we probably are late to the partnerships game. If I look at other industries, they have a very open, kind of integration first approach. You know, very, very small teams, very, very small technology teams, but just a really open culture to using partners. I think we still obsess about differentiation in the chains. Like, hey, if I don't build my own revenue management system, then I'm not going to go anywhere. But I think people like Oki, I think, are paving the way that actually if you use a tech platform that does it, you can still be different because what you're offering on that and the way you're tailoring is different. So we haven't been great at it, but I absolutely think now is the time. And hopefully we found a niche that we can kind of be that translator and take people on that journey.
And you will help us shape it.
I will do what I can.
Thank you very much. I almost shook your hand, but we're not supposed to. I think I did adhere to that measure at all. Next up is one of those partners for the industry. What we have on stage for the next speaker is the founder and CEO, the co-founder and CEO of BigRoom. And BigRoom is the world's first membership-based, zero-commission hotel booking platform for frequent travel. And in these times where we're all challenged by all kind of circumstances, zero commission must sound like one of the things that was already described by James as what we're looking for, someone that has an impact on our business straight away. Michael Ross is a natural born entrepreneur. He started his first company at 18, and Bidroom is his love baby. I'd like to call him to the floor, and please give him a hand when he comes on stage.
First of all, James, great story. Thank you so much for sharing this knowledge. I think you all know what is going on in the industry. Booking started a long time ago. One of the guys is here as well, right, boss? Actually, there's a problem going on. And of course, they deliver a lot, but also it costs a lot. They're charging enormous commissions. I think one of the highest bills, many hoteliers in here, is the one with them in the left corner, probably, or right corner. I don't forget them with the blue logo. And we want to change it. And also, it's on two sides. It's not only the hotel who's paying a lot of commission, but indirectly also the user. In this case, I think it's better. You still hear me? Yeah, it's paying too much. And we want to solve this problem and make it fair, so that the hotels saving on commission, making more revenue, and that the user has the best price. We built an amazing product with an amazing team. In this case, we have a good number of hotels already on board. And I hope the hotels not on board in here to join us as well. We have a platform which is really user-friendly. We don't want to make it pushy, we want to make it nice to use with a great customer experience. You see many initiatives in the industry, what they're doing, they're using third-party inventory. We said no, let's do directly, do it good. Contract with the hotels directly, connect with the hotels directly. And it isn't easy, it took us years to build this. We have a whole team ready for this, but it isn't easy, and we need time. And we're still developing all the time, but we're really getting there. And that's amazing to see how many hotels already joined, connected, and we want to do it differently. And I mentioned before, a really easy to use experience, giving more ratings, giving more information, we'll do things more clever. We have a chatbot, for example, who's answering 95% of the questions. If not, we can still answer personally. But you want to make it a bit easier to use, but also make it smarter. But we're living in an economy which is changing. This morning I had an interview with a newspaper, and I told him for fun, actually what you did, you invented the membership economy. You saw him smiling because before you were buying a newspaper, and actually you could take a subscription on a newspaper. He said, well, I actually didn't realize that my industry is actually cool. So what is the membership economy? You're going from ownership, you go into access. I remember that I was going to a shop, €10, I bought a CD, I had access to 18 songs. Now I pay €10 per month, I have access to millions of songs. So I get access to something. It's also changing because I paid €10 once. Now I'm paying every month, so you're paying a recurring payment. And it's in a business which is changing a lot. If we see in 2018, the average people had around 5 memberships. We're looking at this year, they expect to have 10. I think if you're looking at your own situation, when you compare yourself years ago, Netflix, Spotify, many more, it's changing a lot. That's also why we are starting with this kind of business model. So it's actually the same. When others keep investing in getting users on board, AdWords campaigns and many more, constantly acquiring members. We want to create a relationship with them. As soon as they are a member, we can get a relationship with them. We can engage with them, inform them, make them happy. So we don't have to keep acquiring members all the time. In this case, yes, that's why we're able to compete with others. For us, it's really important to make this invention, and we work on it really hard, and that's why we need you as well on here. Imagine Netflix, if they have only a few series, you will unsubscribe. If you have Spotify, they have a lot of one of your favorite artists, you will unsubscribe. So that's why we really need support from the industry and the hotels to help us to make this working. And we have a good numbers of hotels, but constantly we have to grow as well. Our business model, because you're thinking, okay, you have to make money as well if you don't charge the hotels a commission. Yes, we have a subscription model for users. In this case, the users paying €29, and in return they're saving on travel, which you have to provide, of course, but not as high as your commission. So if you give them 5, 7, or 10% discount compared with other rates, users happy, you making more revenue. But also we give them more. We give them much more. What we're giving our users is also next to the experience, give them benefits from partners which we have. Some partners are here, maybe new potential partners are coming, but we also give them extra benefits, saves on car rental. And we don't do any markup on the service as well. Give them directly the best price if they want to rent the car. So we want to deliver them much more than only a good price and a good experience. The same as well, it would be great if hotels also offering extras, what they can do, a welcome drink, or again, this experience is super important, but not on a pushy way. Still, we also have the hotels, charge the hotels a small fee, but it's really minimal if you compare this with the high commissions. You can see the fees in here if you want to know more. We have many guys in here in the audience as well. But we charge them a small fee, which is never high. One example, if your hotel has 40 rooms, and we don't generate your bookings, we don't charge anything. But of course, we want to generate a lot of bookings for you. So imagine we generate you 25,000 euro revenue. Not going to charge a lot extra. We're still charging in this case only this 500 euro. So it's fair. You know, if we deliver you something, what you pay for. But if we over-deliver, what is of course our goal, to deliver you much more revenue, we're not going to charge you more. IAG is already mentioned in the story of James, and that's also one of the first big hotel chains that I love what you're doing. What you're doing, you're actually helping our business again. And they're not the only one who joined our platform. There are many, many more where you joined. It's okay. What you're doing, you're supporting the industry, you're helping us to give our control back, to really help us, in this case, to bring us new users, new clients. And we don't compete directly with the hotels directly. No, we try to get the piece of cake. We have it even on our wall in the office. This pretty blue. Try to be a piece of cake, make it more orange. Because every booking will go to our platform, makes you more revenue, and makes the member happy as well. Growth is not easy because if you don't advertising on AdWords or keywords, you have to do it differently. One of the strategies James said, partnership, and for us the same. Partnerships are super important to grow our user base. They have our relationship with their client base. We don't have to invest a lot of marketing spend in those partnerships. And they have a current base of users which are loyal to. So if we can use them, it will be great for us, it will be great for the hotels as well. A few essential partners we have. We are officially partnered from Visa. So Visa in this case works with us and choose us as their travel partner. Of course, Amsterdam partners, happy that they're here, they work with us as well. Cirque du Soleil, a loyal group of members. Is that if they go to an event of Cirque du Soleil, why not give them something extra, which is the best price for the stay? And Avis car rental, we're helping them and they're providing us a discount. So partnerships are super important for us to grow. But we do this with an amazing team. And this is, I think, the slide that makes me most proud. We have an amazing team of professionals just helping us every day to make this world a bit more fair. And help OTAs, in this case, give control back, but also generate more revenue, but give the best price as well for the user. Again, this is a team. We won a lot of awards, which is great to see, which also came from the industry. And that makes me proud that the industry is actually voting for us, because it's a confirmation that what we're doing something good. And of course, we had articles in different other magazines, which is again confirming that something what we do is good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please stay a bit on stage if you want. Are there any questions on Bidroom or on the presentation? I'll let you think about the question while I ask one. Okay.
There are many guys around with the Bidroom t-shirts, so feel free to
So you've got all these people helping you if they're more personalized questions. Obviously, you're looking for more hotels. I think the analogy you chose and explaining that we won't be following Netflix if there would only be a handful of movies. So you focus on getting more hotels on board. What is the biggest hurdle that hotels seem to experience in making that decision? Because it seems to be a no-brainer that if you can have a zero commission model, that it's attractive.
Of course, and you see the hotels, they have a current relationship with the OTAs, and it's okay. Some of them doesn't know us, doesn't know us so far, because we didn't do much marketing for consumers. We said, okay, no, for us it's important to get these numbers of hotels on board first. So that's why you need support, because then you have, in this case, have something really good for the members. So of course, when you're new, it's not easy. 5 years ago, also knocked the door of IAG, but it didn't open. Well, now it's completely different. They're happy. We're talking now with the other chain hotels. It will be great to have you as well, because they understand what we're doing. Of course, we learned a lot during the years. We improved a lot during the years. And those learnings we've taken constantly to make what we're doing.
And when you're looking at the membership model, you explained that you're looking at creating leverage through partnerships. Is there also an effort to work on consumers on an individual basis? Where can they find you?
Yeah, no, of course they can find us. Partnership is for us the easiest to grow, and we don't want to invest massive money in marketing and compete on the AdWords campaign, etc., because I don't believe in this. And also then you do keyword buying, what we don't do as well. So we want to make it fair, and that's also okay. Partnership would help us a lot. Yes, of course, we do invest in direct marketing, but I think when you combine this, I think we have something really strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that concludes your presentation. There's a lot of people in the room that can answer questions, like you indicated. You'll be there as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks for there.
We're left with a little extra time, which is a good thing, because our next speaker indicated that she wanted to speak a bit about the current situation, which is in addition to what she prepared as a presentation. So I hope this is going to give you that opportunity to do so. We've got a countdown clock still at 20 minutes, so I'll try to change that. Our next speaker is from Amsterdam. It's Geert Udo, and she is CEO of Amsterdam and Partners. And Amsterdam and Partners is a not-for-profit organization that is dedicated to making Amsterdam an even better place to live, work, and visit. The topic of today is on impact, on tourism and the future of growth. And this is a hot topic in many European cities. And as we're all here in Amsterdam, we know that this is one of the big topics here. Everybody's talking about the increase in tourism, what it does. People are using terms like over-tourism. There's lots of resistance. But there are so many sides to this phenomenon, and I believe that Amsterdam and Partners is the place and the entity that will help guide us through this quite complicated process. So we're very happy to welcome to the floor Geert Udo.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the extra 5 minutes. My name is Geert Udo. I started as CEO of Amsterdam and Partners on the 1st of March 2019, but I joined this business 13 years ago. So I saw a lot of things growing and moving. I was there in 2008 as well, but I want to use this floor as well for 5 minutes because I got some extra time to talk with you about the things that we're doing right now in the office if it comes to the topic that we're all concerned about. Because of course we know that it has a huge impact on a lot of industries in our city at the moment. And unfortunately, because it's a global threat that we're coping with, it's not easy to know what we can do to make sure today how we can help you and how we can make sure that if we're over the top and the predictions are more positive, how we can help each other to get the business up as fast as possible. But what we can do is stay in contact. And that's why I just want to highlight a few things. We're on a daily basis in contact with the city to make sure that if a breakthrough will come in Amsterdam, we have the right communication to keep, like James already said, the panic down. Because there are things going on and it's very insecure, but there are luckily a lot of things that we do know as well. We're very close in contact with a lot of our partners that are in the business, that have their fears, have their concerns, to talk with them, what can we do and what can we do not. We're in close contact with the National Board of Tourism, talking about the data. They just launched half an hour ago a new press release with some reports where you can see and check the data. What are the predictions from forward keys about the plane bookings, etc., etc. And we're in close contact to see what we can do tomorrow, because you finally see in this whole world of fear that the positive effect should be in our close by markets nowadays. Because we are still a destination that has a positive image in this whole story. We have the opportunity in Belgium, in Germany, that these people will keep traveling. by the facts of today. Of course, everything can change for tomorrow. So we're looking in all these things to see how we can manage this unique experience that we're all in at the moment. The other thing that we're doing right now is see what we can do to make sure that if we're over the hill and the changes are in a positive way, how we can work together to get the market up again. So there's still, via the Netherlands Board of Tourism, a lot of contact in China. What is the market doing? What can we do to make sure that if traveling becomes safe again, we will benefit from it as well. On the other hand, we're also connected internationally, because this is not a local problem, but an international problem. And we're in this conference with more than 180 cities in whole of Europe, how we can see how we can help each other to support this whole industry. And unfortunately, we cannot change the world for today, but I hope together we can manage that the negative effect is as less as possible as is within our power. If there are any questions, I and my colleagues will be here during the break as well. So that is our request. If you have concerns, if you have ideas, if you need data, contact us, because we're more than willing to help and to see how we can cope with this challenge. Yes? Then from that on, going back to my presentation, I have 23 minutes left. 3 minutes extra. What I want to tell you today is, like I said, I joined this whole industry already 13 years ago, and when I started my job, I had one goal with the brand Amsterdam, and I was getting more residents, more companies, more conventions, more events, more visitors, and I have to say thank you. I think we did a really great job together. And I still think we're doing a great job together, and we also have some challenges. Because we're in a fast-growing world, and we're very, very attractive at the moment. As a destination to live in, to work in, to meet in, and to visit. Now I'm going to show you how we changed our strategy to make sure we can realize a lot of opportunities in the future, and also make sure that the negative effect in some areas at some moments of the tourism industry we can manage as well. Our new mission is that we work on the livability, attractiveness, and the prosperity of a sustainable and inclusive metropolitan area. And I think we always did. It's just a question, what can we do together to make sure that in the future we will stay this livable, attractive, and prosperous metropolitan area? Of course, we do it together. The reason why we renamed into Amsterdam and Partners is because we're a public-private foundation that has more than 950 partners. And these are hotels, restaurants, but also cultural institutions, the big companies like banks, insurance companies, 32 municipalities around Amsterdam, 2 provinces. And why are these our partners? Because together we create the future of the metropolitan area. If we do work together or not, we do create the future. So let's focus on this together, and what our focus is for Amsterdam and Partners is how can we build a better reputation as the Amsterdam area, and how can we guide residents, visitors, businesses, and conventions much better through the whole metropolitan area and all the unique things we have to offer. What we do is we inform, we inspire, and we engage people. We do it by storytelling based on data and insights. We do that, of course, online, via print and through service points, events and activities. And actually every day we're working on telling the right story at the right moment to the right person via the right channel. And I think everybody that's doing something in branding, marketing, sales, etc. is doing the same. It sounds easy, but of course it's very complex. If you have a whole metropolitan area and a lot of target groups, how you channel this story. The reason why we have the 3 target groups is because we think that human beings create a destination. So this has always been a destination where a lot of people work, live, and recreate. So we have to manage them together. And also because if you look at it from a bigger perspective, it's easy. If residents of the Amsterdam area do not start using our metropolitan area in a different way, how can we expect visitors to do so? So we have to look at this in an integrated approach. The other reason why we have all these target groups is because we're human beings. We're not a target audience. We're here because we're connected in business. Who of you is a resident in Amsterdam as well? Yeah. Who of you does visit Amsterdam as a guest? Yeah. Who does organize meetings in Amsterdam? Yeah. So these are not human beings. These are just target groups. You always have to keep in mind there is a destination and they're human beings. And we want to connect them together. And we know if somebody comes here for a convention and falls in love with the city, the chance that if they go home to the United States and the daughter or son asks, Mom, Dad, can I study in Amsterdam? The chance is 100 times bigger that the answer will be yes than if the parents have never been here before. So that is also a reason why we always look to these approaches. Of course, our reality changed a lot. We saw that working on a livable, prosperous, and attractive destination was very valuable for everybody by just attracting more people, earning more money, creating more jobs. Till 2014, everybody was happy with it. But then we saw, of course, that fast growing can also cause some pain. So we said, okay, a new strategy, we have to put the residents back in priority. And we have to make sure that we will always welcome visitors and conventions that add value to our destination and our residents. And that is something that was normally or organic till 2014, and nowadays still is for a lot of times of year in a lot of areas. And we have to be honest that in some areas it can cause nuisance or it can be overcrowded. But we have to see where is it, when is it, and how can we solve it together. Because I know everybody of my partners do not want to have nuisance in the city. So we find each other there, and then you can also see where you can realize the growth in a lot of other areas in the metropolitan area and in Amsterdam. We made a shift from quantity to quality. Why? Because I think everybody will answer yes if I say, do you want to have high quality guests? Of course, I think they're just a small group of entrepreneurs that want to make fast money by non-quality visitors. And we always say, oh, that is a hard definition. I'm not the quality agent saying you're quality and I'm not. We see people that behave with respect for the locals and respect for the city are quality visitors. It doesn't have to be with rich or whatever, just behave. We work very, very closely with our partners. Again, like I already said, we make the future together, so we have to work constantly connected to make this shift as well. We work locally, nationally, and internationally. I already showed that by the example of the corona, but we do that always, seeing where are the challenges, what can we do in areas that are now still really looking forward to host visitors, what can we do in areas where they have issues with visitors, how can we work together to make sure that locals discover their city better, etc., etc. We do it nationally with the National Board of Tourism and internationally with our European network. Because a lot of the challenges that we're facing are not unique for Amsterdam. They're just unique for very successful, fast-growing metropolitan areas in Europe. We still use the motto I Amsterdam, sorry to say so, but there are some people that make the misconnection that by moving the I Amsterdam sign from the museum square we would get rid of the whole brand. Luckily we didn't. We were together with a lot of partners so powerful to tell the City Hall that we invested all together for more than 15 years in this powerful brand that is very well known, that it has a high quality standard, so that we better could use it to make this transformation into the future. And we focused on slower, sustainable and inclusive growth. I come back to that later. This is also what we think is very, very important if you look to the negative effect of tourism in some places at some points in time. I cannot mention that enough. That we said if you put the priority back to the inhabitants, It means that businesses that do not respect locals and only focus on visitors should be forced to have a responsibility to locals again. And the easiest example, of course, is the beer bike. There are not a lot of locals that really like it. And they didn't manage really well to at least respect the neighborhood where they were crossing through. And luckily, we have a lot of businesses that are focused on visitors that do respect residents. I use a lot the Hotel Jakarta that has the bakery, has the swimming pool for the locals and the residents. So it doesn't mean that we're not in favor of businesses that is focused on visitors. I think we have to go back to say, what can we do to also contribute to the residents in the area? Because you see, every example where they manage this, the residents are more than friendly to welcome visitors again. And we have to make sure the red light district, of course, is also a discussion if that is in the area where the cross is right now. What does it offer locals still to go there and spend time? What we still do, of course, is this whole metropolitan area, because again, we never talk about over-tourism because we think it's a non-valuable word to use. We just say it's a fast-growing economy. It used to be. I know that today it's totally different, but we hope if we manage to take control over the coronavirus that it will come back. It's not damaging our reputation, it's not damaging the reputation of our country, so we have a lot of possibilities here for growth. We really have to see how we can make impact. So we make the journey constantly. How do we seduce them on social? How do we inform them online? How do we guide them at Schiphol Airport? How do we inform them at our visitor centers? How do we use print? I totally believe in the digital future. And we also see a lot of results from research that a lot of people get lost in the overload of digital information. So human beings can cope 7 to 10 options. That's why TripAdvisor is so very valuable, because it gives a top 10. So we see that print is still very valuable because it helps people. It says a lot. This is the top 5 restaurants of your neighborhood. Or maybe this is the top 5 of museums in your neighborhood. Or maybe this is the top 5. But the biggest challenge, of course, is who do I know what your personal favorite 5 is? Because it will be different than yours. That is a big challenge nowadays. But still leaving paper, we have to invest in the connectivity. Our public transport system is not very easy to access for foreign people, so we, together with the public transport system, made this ticket, saying like, okay, for international people, they can buy the ticket and they go to Arriva and GVB, etc., and they don't need to check in, check out, and understand the complex system we Dutch create. So we say if you go through the whole journey, then we of course can seduce people to go to new areas. And of course, you have to be honest. You cannot spread guests to area where their needs do not fit the benefits. So you have to make sure what is somebody needs, and then we can connect it with an offer that fits the need. I cannot send somebody who's in for the first time in Amsterdam to southeast far out. Why? It will never connect with their benefits. But there are a lot of people that have been in our destination much more often, and then we know what their preferences are, and then we can connect the right offer. Of course, we still use a lot of these media channels, and it still works very powerful. This is also where you see, for instance, that of course we quit doing promotion, because the last numbers of 2019 published this week was the growth in Amsterdam again of 9%. I know it was last year, this year will be different, unfortunately, but the predictions are, if we do not have much more of these crises, that the growth will continue. It doesn't mean that we're altogether building reputation of Amsterdam. We have to show via platforms like social media, but also press. I had yesterday a walk with the Standard from Belgium to show them the new areas, to show them why they should also discover the east side of Amsterdam, etc. So yes, we do not do any promotion saying come here, but we still build a reputation. And we're building a reputation. We show the world why they should visit the Amsterdam area. We still do the print media, I already told you, but we also still do a lot of things for the Dutch. And like I said, we also have to improve the way that Amsterdam metropolitan residents use this whole area. Because if you look in the longer perspective, if we do not go to the New West, how can I ever tell a guest to go there? So we have a lot of programs in the hotel industry. Of course, the hotel night is a very good example how we connect locals with hotels, but also 24 hours, discover your own city. The 18th of April in Southeast, we also open up hotels there and cultural institutions and a lot of fun restaurants to guide the people that live here, that know that there's something going on, but they don't know how to go there or what to do there. We guide them one by one. And that is also for you as an industry very interesting. Because if you have positive residents, it makes your easy much more complete and more successful. We still have the physical points where we inform people, and we do the neighborhood campaign because we think there's so much to discover in a lot of areas. And the journalist of the Standard said to me as well, he said, I'm 10 minutes away from the city center and it's so quiet. And I said, yes. There are a lot of other areas where you can still find these beautiful spots and that you have a quiet thing. We also do a lot of other campaigns still. This is an example of the Enjoying Respect campaign. And the reason why we do this is also because we want to downsize the negative effect of some people that at some points in our old city center are really causing a lot of nuisance. If you live on the Nieuwsaansvoorburgwal or in the red light district, you have a lot of people puking on your doorstep. You have a lot of people making noise. You have a lot of waste in your streets. And we have to be honest about that. And we really try to at least help in getting this done. This is the campaign we do on Enjoying Respect. We did a lot of research. A lot of cities said, you're not allowed to pee on the street. You're not allowed to yell on the street. Yeah, most people know. So who are we to say? And we also know from other research that if you say no, unfortunately, a lot of people do yes. So there was this campaign of City Hall 2 years ago saying like, please behave to the people that are at the ambulance. You know, the people that help us when we're in need. And after the campaign, they experienced more violence against these people that help us. So you have to be very, very careful if you do these kind of campaigns that you know how to communicate. So this was the campaign. We said, okay, we know that you're coming to the city. We know that you have the idea we're going to get a lot of drinks. And we know that we have to inform you this whole route to say, okay, you're welcome, but respect the local and respect our city. And these are just the things. And the good thing about nowadays, telling the right story at the right moment to the right people via the right channel, is that you can target it. So only guys, sorry to say so, but it's only focused on male between 18 and 35 that are coming from the north of the Netherlands and England. So all of you saw this campaign. We have people at the office that live outside of the city, and they are targeted by this campaign. And we do it online, physically, etc. But we do work together with EasyJet, saying like, we know it's not that you're not a good carrier, not at all, you're a perfect partner. But we also know that a lot of people book via your planes. We do work with a lot of 1- or 2-star hotels that have most of the time the guests. The luxury hotels, they support it big time, but most of the time their guests are from a different behavior. So we do work. Also the digital screens in the city are only on when it's night and not on a Monday night, because then it's quiet in the city. So we have to target all the time. We use the geofencing. So if they walk into the red light district and they open up their Facebook, hi, there we are again. Because of course that is the challenge, but also the easy success of marketing is repeating. Does it help? Yes. It raises awareness at the target group that there is something wrong with their behavior. Unfortunately, it's not within our power in one campaign to change this whole behavior. So we do work with City Hall, with Police Department, the Enforcement Department, some of the businesses in the red light district, because we have to work together. And you never get a penalty. my message will be empty within 2 years. But we do work a lot and it's very serious. Of course, our mayor is doing a lot of research nowadays, how we can give that part of the city more back to residents and make sure that the nuisance is also caused by that different. You know, people ask us, you should focus on quality visitors. I said, what do you think I was doing the last 15 years? Not focusing on these guys. But if we have things in offer, if there is a red light district in coffee shops, you will attract these kind of target groups. Also, if it comes to businesses and conventions, we're still looking to attract a lot of conventions and meetings that add value to the metropolitan area and their residents. So for instance, we had the AIDS, this year we had the cardiology. There it's also very, very important. It's very valuable, not only for the hotel industry and the convention industry, but also for the universities, also for the research, also for the startups in life science and health. But also we're organizing an event with the Dutch Heart Stichting in the Vondelpark, where we learn Amsterdam people what they should do to take care of their heart. So we really look into all these kind of things. If it's a convention, is it interesting for industry? Is it interesting for a bigger industry, like the research, etc.? And how can we make it more interesting for local people? So these are a lot of examples where we do co-create. The same is that we're very proud that we've got the climate top next year. These are things that help us in our challenges to solve the sustainable issues we have together in the whole metropolitan area. So we have to invest in data and technology because this is key, and James already told, and Bitroom is an example, this will help us in the transformation. We know from data, if you go to the Van Gogh, you go to the phone. If you go to the Rijksmuseum, you have another connection. This is a lot of data that helps us to guide people better. But we have to invest in artificial intelligence, because that will help us to find out what your preference is and how these trends are connected with each other. We work on a sustainable future together with youth industry, and for us, we just selected the 4 SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, that were also selected by the UNWTO. That's the International United Nations Platform for the Visitor Economy. One is inclusive industry, how can everybody profit? The second one is how can we manage the waste system much better, the waste that is created by our industry and by our clients. How can we focus on sustainable mobility in the whole metropolitan area, in the country and in the whole of Europe? And how can we make our consumption much more sustainable? And of course that is focused on accommodations, restaurants, transport, and also at how we can downsize the negative effect of tourism at some parts in some moments. And that can be the nuisance by antisocial behavior, or because there are too many people at the same time at the same spot. This is why we started co-creating with Bitroom. Like I said, I was in the business already 13 years ago. We did try to build our own platform. Looking backwards, naive as we were. But we knew, because our partners are very important. And a lot of hoteliers are our partners. And we said, can we not build a platform and that the revenues go into this public-private foundation that helps us building a better reputation and a better guiding for our residents, but also for our visitors and companies. So we tried, but we found out that the competition is so hard and the world is changing so fast. And you all know, I think there's not one hotel that's not on booking.com. So we have these two challenges. If we could manage to do the direct booking to every partner, I think everybody would be happy. We cannot do so. Like already James told in the first presentation, we see how we should use this transforming industry for our own benefit. So that's why we started talking with Bitroom, because we said, of course, there is the right and the wrong, but we believe that they have some assets. Why the co-creation is good for us, especially, and that was for us the biggest, of course, focus. We think it's better for our partners and better for the city. And better for the city is, I just showed you the example, the more data we have, the better we can guide people. The more data we have, the better we can build a reputation. And that is one of the things that we never could discuss with a lot of other platforms that do a sort of the same. So for us, that is a valuable co-creation. And of course, their business model is different for our partners, and that is very valuable for us as well. We as iamsterdam.com, of course, would love to be the one-stop shop where people can be informed, inspired, and also do the bookings that are necessary for a good stay. So that is why we started co-creating, at least saying, okay, we are partners, we have the same idea of how we should transform this whole industry into a sustainable industry. So we made some deals, easy as it does. It's had a free membership for city card buyers. We have the iAmsterdam city cards, it's a very interesting card where people have free public transport, free access to all the museum, and a lot of attractions also in the metropolitan area, and people buy that for 24, 48, 72 hours. And we can offer them now a free membership for a certain period, of course, that they can test this platform for free. That they can say, okay, interesting, not for now, of course not. They're already in the city, but of course they go back home, and if the safety becomes great again, so we can start traveling normally again, they can use this. Completely free trial for partner hotels till 2022, because we said we don't want to have this negotiation and becoming partners, and within a year you say, okay, haha, I got you, now you pay for me. Because, yeah. That is not how we make partnerships. As said also by James in the first presentation, partnerships is really long term. We have to focus how we can make this happen for the future. And we generate more income for Amsterdam and partners, of course, if we reuse it. And for us, the easy profit is always that we're a public-private foundation. We have only one goal, and that is making that this metropolitan area stays livable, lovable, and prosperous. So we can give the city back to residents in these parts where they do not feel that it's theirs, but we also really can grasp all the opportunities that are still so in this business. So that is why we started working together, and that is why I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Geerte, and thank you also for taking the time to enlighten us on what's happening and what measures are taken from the municipality and from your offices when it comes to informing us. What you talk about is very clearly about bringing together the different interests that we have in the city. And one of the things that we all hear, and it's very vocal in all the media, is the constraints people find in the livable part of the claim that you're making. Is there any research on what percentage actually is experiencing real problems and what percentage is just being very loud?
Yes. The last one I cannot answer. No, of course, but that is why we always say over-tourism is not a word. Let's look at the issues that we really have to fix. So we're really making heat maps. Where is the nuisance? The nuisance is most of the time in the red light district, Reverend Square, and some other parts. So we're really downsizing where it's happening, because you know, a lot of places in the city you never have noise at night.
And those are the areas where this has always been the case, right? As long as I can remember.
No. It has always been the case that these were the busiest areas. But you see, and it's also not unique for Amsterdam, that there's a tipping point. People used to live in a city because they love vibrant cities. Totally. People live in the red light district because they love the vibrance of the red light district. There is a tipping point that if people puke in your doorstep every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday night, people are like, okay, maybe this is a bit out of balance. So yes,
once a week is fine.
Well, I know what I'm not saying what once a week, but I do agree. You know, there is this. That is what we see in all these destinations. That there is this tipping point, and that's not fast. Because if you live in the red light district, you totally have another idea about how vibrant your area can be if you compare it to outside. These people have totally different idea. City Hall is doing a lot of research nowadays to see, like, okay, which areas actually experience this negative effect on tourism. Because if we know much more clear where the problem is, it's much more easy to solve. It's also if it comes to the areas where there's too much pressure on public space, so overcrowdedness at a certain moment at a certain time, we're looking into data. Behind Central Station, it's locals, it's people that are going to their jobs, it's forense, I don't know how to say that in English. And it's visitors that come together and get into this solution. So there you have different solutions to solve this issue. So yeah, City Hall is doing a lot of research. I hope they can present it within the coming up 3 months. Because again, everybody loves to see the successes that we can make, because there are a lot of areas in the city where tourism still adds a lot of value for the metropolitan area and its locals, and we have to solve some issues at these points where it's really a problem.
Geert, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this short break, and I'm happy to see that all of you came back, even though the weather has cleared up and it's so tempting to go outside. Because you made the right choice in staying here, because we've got excellent speakers coming up in the second part of this program. And first of all is Matthijs Kooijman. And Matthijs is a specialist in the field of customer retention. Always important, but in these times, probably even more important than in other times. It's about customer retention and customizing the localization of websites, booking platforms, and customer loyalty programs. And I had to look up the term localization, and I learned that it's the process of adapting a product or content to a specific local market, not only in language, but also in tone of voice and other aspects. I hope I didn't spoil anything for you, because you were planning on...
Go home now.
Yeah, you can go home now. Yeah. Thank you very much. It was very interesting, and we appreciate it. So you will be talking about localization and enlighten us on this specific topic. So please help me in welcoming Matthijs Kooijman.
Thank you. Am I clear to everybody? Oh, that's good to know. I'm Matthijs. I work for Attached Language Intelligence, and we pretend, or actually we are, your gateway to a global audience. Since we are in Holland, that may be a strange thing, localization, because as Dutch people, we all speak our languages very well, so I'm a bit of a strange duck in the bite, probably, because you are not crazy Henky. Because actually there is some room of for improvement. For instance, have you ever seen this? It's a Baltic beach hotel. Or have you ever come across this sign? The hotel invites you with pleasure to take advantage of the chambermaid. These are just small examples when you have, this is what can happen when somebody who thinks he knows a different language, when you have them translate content, you get a messy job. Because there is a saying, and nobody knows who actually said it, but knowing 2 languages doesn't make you a translator any more than having 10 fingers making your opinion pianist. And that's absolutely true. Have you ever heard about Pinyin? Pinyin is the system that is used by Chinese tourists, potential 1.4 billion, while they are converting Chinese scripture to Western scripture and vice versa. And in that conversion, the words for Bali in Indonesia and Paris in France are exactly the same. That can be complicating things. For instance, when you are expecting the Eiffel Tower and find yourself under a palm on the beach, or vice versa. So for one of our clients, because we know about Indian, we make a very clear distinction between Bali and Bali in Paris, so that there can be no mistake. This is something you can know or should know when you set up a website or an application. These are 2 hungry Japanese tourists. They are looking for a Japanese restaurant, and they will use a certain term while looking for this restaurant, a term that basically every Japanese person will use. These are 2 non-Japanese persons looking for a Japanese restaurant, and they think, well, Google Translate is the answer to anything, I'll use that. and they will use a different Japanese sentence to use the same, to find the same product as the Japanese in the slide before. So you have these two different types of notation who basically target a whole different group of customers and clients. And when you don't know about this, which probably a lot of people don't, you can end up targeting the wrong people, barking up the wrong tree. And the last two examples, Chinese, Japanese, they seem exotic languages to us, but it happens closer to home. We have the big English lottery, toilet, bathroom. Do you use lift or do you use elevator while describing some services or amenities in your hotel? Do you use the word holiday or do you use the word vacation? When you are looking for Chinese people, do you want to translate the word holiday, which will give you no traffic on your website, or the word furlough, verlof in het Engels, which is basically the term that Chinese people will use. And of course we have the trolley and the cart. These are all differences in the language that we all seem to be speaking and to understand. This is me for everybody who forgot to bring his glasses, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about what we do. Because our mission as a language intelligence agency is that we translate and create copy for corporations with a local and international presence. And we do that. We help you to connect, to be understood, found, or even liked or loved in every language and on every platform. And we do that, our values, I have always to go through this, is that we think we are solid, smart, and supportive. And that's what some of our clients think too, because they have been with us for a long time, and as you can see, these are brands, really premium brands in your industry. We're talking KLM, that has been with us for 20 years, Norwegian, American Express, Points and Merkel, who are two providers of loyalty systems, and within the hospitality industry, we work for Landau, for Bilderberg, and a couple of smaller companies in other countries. And why am I telling you this? Because you are selling an emotion. And an emotion is something that goes through the heart. And of course Nelson Mandela is much more famous for much more important things than pitching my stuff for me. But he said once that if you talk to a man in a language that he understands, that goes to his head. But if you talk to a man in a language, in his own language, that will go to his heart. And that's basically what personalization and getting connected with your client or prospect is about. So a lot of companies are in this localization business and they try really well. And this is an actual example. I will have anonymized it, but this is an actual exception about how a pretty well-known global company thinks that you can talk to your customers. This is their English website. All is well, there have been teams working on this for a couple of months, they've been paying a lot of money to advertising guys, they have the setup of the DTP, and this is what they came up with. Sightseeing everywhere, iconic tours to iconic places. And then they have translated it actually into 50 or 60 languages. This is the French one. And if you don't speak French, you think, ooh la la, c'est français, wait, but when you actually take a good look at it, it shows that this can be really improved. This is wrong. They didn't even bother to translate this one. This is wrong. And this is wrong. So what do you think the impression of a French person going through this website is? Will you with Tinder pace go to left or will you go to right? Because there are a lot of competitors who are actually aware of what they are doing, or they are using us. For this, French is a big language, German is a big language, Spanish is a big language. Often these companies have people that speak these languages and can check what they do. Let's go to a relatively an important language, Dutch. This is what they came up with. I give you like a minute just to read this. This is horrible. And if you know that the government in Holland warns you for fraudulent emails by saying, check for translation mistakes, well, what does this say about credibility, about trustworthiness, about the effort you want to do to connect with your client? to acknowledge them, to see them, to make them special. So when we see this kind of content, what we will do is change it. And as you can see, it's not a literal translation. What we take in this kind of client-facing content is we take the source, we take the meaning, and we create that in something what we think will work in that special market. So that's not just translated into French for everybody in the world who happens to be speaking French, but that's translated into French for Belgium, French for Switzerland, French for Canada. And sometimes people say, well, I can save myself some money because it's only 10% different. But the 10% difference is the difference between, as a brand, showing that you understand your client, or that you are just bridging a language barrier. And if you are bridging the language barrier, that's okay, you know. That's your choice, will cost you little money, and maybe if you are in startup phase, that's your choice, that's okay. But if you want to really connect, and in times like these, if you want to have loyalty of customers that think that you want to come back in these hard times, and that you, then it's important to invest in them. And by having it translated into their specific languages, it shows that you invest in them. And just to show how seriously some companies are taking this, we are working for Norwegian Airlines, or basically Norwegian Rewards. It's a loyalty program for Norwegian Airlines. They don't only translate into French for France, French for Canada, but they translate into French for Canada for business travelers, French for Canada for elderly travelers, French for Canada for millennials, because these people speak different languages and have different reasons to use the product. So in Holland, we would suggest this. We would not literally translate this into iconische excursies naar iconische plaatsen, but top excursies naar beroemde plekken. This can be adapted. Now, this is of course ridiculous, so you have to change this. En gratis afzegging is a word, but kosteloos annuleren is what we would really use. Geen verborgen kosten is okay, but geen extra kosten is more showing what you are about. En lokale customer service, klantenservice in het Nederlands. And this is the difference between amateurism and professionalism in creating an image with the customer that you want. And to the icing on the cake, as they call it, this is from their site. They are presenting a hop-on, hop-off bus, and I just want to show it because it's tragic. They translated it with this photograph as spring erop, spring eraf. Which literally is an okay translation. And I think this makes my case between literal translation and translation that actually work. And of course, I'm sure that many of your companies have very well translated websites into the big languages. But have you had, when you have less traffic on your Portuguese website, it might have something to do with it. Because in this age of personalization, again, the language counts. It's after you name the most personal what you actually have. And this personalization, of course, has a couple of benefits. It's very hard for us to get figures, to get the hard figures. How much money do you make from translation? I can't give you that answer because we work for our end clients, and our end clients keep these figures very close to their chest. But what it does mean is that if you personalize through good, well thought of translations, you create happy, loyal customers, you create word-of-mouth marketing, positive reviews, good comments on social media, that all takes part because it's part of their customer experience. These are some of the figures we are able to come up with, is that if you personalize your websites, especially in the hotel business, it really creates a lot of people that will stay with you and that will actually buy your service. And this is the only real research that has been done about the impact of in this case, of localization of a website, that when eBay started to get good localization, their turnover within a very short period of time increased with 10.9%. So why professional translation? Again, creating a personalized connection with your customer, increase credibility and trustworthiness of your company, and you have less churn on your website, and it enables you to keep up with the competition. Because think about that, there are some companies who are actually very good at this, and this is the benchmark that your clients will compare it with, not with the funny stuff. They will compare with some of the websites where there are faultless translations, and you have to live up to their expectation. So these are a couple of free tips from our side. The do's: do use a language professional. I can't say that the quality is always better, because sometimes you have bilingual or multilingual people in your organization who are really good at translating, and they know the terminology that you use. Do you use customer, or do you refer to what is a client? User, subscriber. What is the term that you use? And sometimes we don't know this terminology, but your people do. But in the end, when you invest in a relationship, in a collaboration with a localization agency, it will pay off. It saves you time, it saves you money, and it guarantees you quality. Do make sure that your content is good and internationalized. Make sure that the content that needs to be translated is ready to be translated, because garbage in is garbage out. And just one example of what we had to do for a big airline company: they had spent months and months and months and a lot of money and energy in building an app. And in Dutch, you have a singular, an enkelvoud and a meervoud, for the word year, which is always jaar. You say 1 jaar, 1 jaar, 10 jaar, 100 jaar, 1 miljoen jaar. In English, it's 1 year, and then it's always years. 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, a billion years. So people who will set up an app give room for these two variations. And then they come to us and they say, can you localize it to all this bunch of languages? And please do Polish and Russian. Polish and Russian? Polish has the fact of what we call multiple plurals. They have more than 12 versions of the meervoud, depending on the number in front of it. So 1 year, 2 year, the words even don't look the same. And then you have to go back to the drawing table and spend all this money and all this energy and all this months to adapt the app to different languages. And that comes to my third point. When you have plans for a website, for localization, when you have plans for an application, talk to a professional beforehand, because they can give you these kind of tips for free, and it will already help to save you money. Then the big don'ts. Please don't consider translation a commodity that costs money. I know that a lot of companies think you have coffee, you have toilet paper, you have translations. They're there, and only when you're out of it, then you have a problem. It's not. It's an investment. It's an investment in what you do, it's an investment in success, and it can be a revenue driver. And that's why all the big companies who take translation and localization seriously, and winning the prizes, like KLM, like Norwegian, like American Express, are very successful, because they take it seriously. Don't let non-native translators, because they speak a foreign language as well. They have visited Rome and they think they do Italian. Come on, people, you want to be professional. You spend all this money on making your hotel or your company having this certain image, and then you break it off by having a lousy translation on your website. And the last one is, don't view translation as a separate process outside your workflow. Incorporate it in your workflow. It will never be your core business, but it is very important to incorporate it in what you do. Think of it, because I don't know how many Dutch people stay in your hotels, but I know how many foreign people will stay in your hotels. So to finalize it, what we do is we see ourselves as the fourth runner in a relay race. You are responsible for the first 3 laps, and then we take over the baton and we take it to the finish, because in the end, the image that your client or prospect will see from your hotel is the localized version, because the Japanese version will not read the original English version, how fabulous it was. They will judge you on what they will read in Japanese, Chinese, or German. I thank you for all your attention. And if you have any questions, we are there here now, and we'll be there with a couple of my colleagues at the bar after the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthijs. It was a good presentation. I understood it, which is a good sign. I don't understand everything. And I really like the examples you gave in the beginning because obviously they added some comedy, but it also makes me think on the mistakes I probably made. Is there anything known about conversion in the sense of if you do this process well, how does it help you to sell better, to gain more traffic, and to be more successful in a measurable way?
Well, it's a good question. As I said, we don't have the hard figures on this, but we know, for instance, KLM. We translate into 23 languages for KLM. That's a lot of languages, and they keep investing in these translations, even in hard times. Even during 2008, the turnover we had from KLM went up. Why? Because they will not compromise on the quality image that they have. And they want, especially pricing, legal stuff, that kind of stuff. You can be very good at English, but it will create trust with people if they can read it and understand it in their own language. So our educated guess is that people will stay longer or finish even the customer journey on your website because they are able to understand everything, and there is no hindrance why they should leave. So it's up to the credibility, and therefore we think there is a better conversion.
Right, it's also professionality, especially from an airline. You want to pay attention to detail.
Exactly, right? And I think there are big parallels between airlines and hotels. That's why we are, of course, customizing our service for hotels, but there are a lot of parallels in the way you can try to connect with your customers.
Okay. Well, I've booked a trip to Bali, and I'm going to double check if I'm not having a parallels.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we've got one more speaker before we go into the panel session, and that is obviously another one on technology. It's on automation of group travel, and the speaker is someone I've known for a long time because 21 years ago or a bit more? 22 years. I started my own consultancy business, and I had a very small assignment at a new emerging online travel agent. It was called Bookings.
Bookings online.
With an S. Yeah. And now we overlook one of the many head offices they have in this country. You're no longer with them. You're currently president of hotelplanner.com and meeting.com, but you have extensive experience in this industry. So I gladly share the floor with you. Bas Lemmens.
Thank you. What I want to do is take a little bit back, because I hear a lot of course, even the old company I started with Geert-Jan and Siggo, and we were all also in startup. And even what Matthijs was just saying, if you do something in this industry, you have to do it well and to keep ahead of the game. For instance, translation was the first thing we did. And that's where we get ahead of Expedia, for instance, because Expedia forgot when they launched their website, also internationally, that they could only add one language. So they couldn't do anything in Holland, Germany, France, etc., because they didn't translate anything. And at that time, even now, if you get somebody of France to want to book on your website, you need French. Even Germany, if you're not even German-based, they will not book with you. So what Matthijs is saying, if you not do this from the beginning, it will not happen. I want to take you back to 1995. That's where all technology started in the travel industry. It was Expedia, Mr. Barry Diller. And as you probably know, he took over Expedia again. And he was one of the first innovators on the really online hotel reservations. And at that moment also, of course, we started with bookings, and we call them the first adopters. And everybody was looking at us and they think we are nuts. Even we had training from him, and of course at that time we couldn't say we're an internet company because nobody got it. And even when I started over there, you know, was Geert-Jan was sitting there and he had some nice model, he had 30 hotels, and he had 7% commission and some software product. And the first thing I stepped in and said, hire that commission. And as also even Michael said, for bedrooms, for commission, you have to pay commission. You need commission, because even the first speakers, if you need partners, you have to share your commission. Because if not, you can only go to Google, waste all your money, because that's what Google mostly do. If I see a startup coming to me and say, yeah, I have a very good plan, I do marketing on Google, bullshit, because Google will take all your money. First take care of your conversion. And that's what the early adapters did really well. And that's why, of course, everybody is now complaining about booking. But the only thing what they did every day, 20 years long, is every day looking at data. Every day looking. We had nothing. We had some money from our student loans, and we put it in our company. Nobody want to give something. We were not an Airbnb who gets like 3 billion to make mistakes for 5 years. We were just this small company making good product. And at that time, of course, we because why I started this conversation, we have now coronavirus. I just opened up one email. I have like 500 cancellations because people don't want to travel and blah, blah, blah. But we also had 9/11. You know, I'm 22 years in industry. I had SARS, at 9/11, at Mexican flu. You know, it's the biggest threat of our travel industry, but it's getting worse. And why it's getting worse is at this time, or 2025, 1.2 billion people will travel internationally. That number, 1.2 billion. 1 on 10 people on this planet will work in the hospitality industry. So yes, if people stop traveling, it will hit us hard. Saying that, that's why Booking.com became big of 9/11. Because the American didn't fly anymore, but we, and also what Geert just said, we focused right away on localization. How can we get people who go by car traveling to an hotel? What I did the last 3 weeks, I just not started whining about coronavirus. I said, how can I work better with hotels? How can we survive it? How can we postpone things? Not cancel, postpone events. Because yes, it will hit me very hard at this moment. But I know also, if my father always says, the Dutch saying, sorry, translation, if het bloed gaat door de straten, is goed zaken doen. You know, see this as an opportunity. So I see this as an opportunity to grow faster. Going back to what I talk about technology, and I will talk about why the automation in group travel, because this is interesting. We are just starting to automate really things. We are in the travel industry only in the beginning. You know, it's still stupid that I, for instance, have to type in Amsterdam going from the 21st July to the 21st July with my daughter to a city. No, what I want, that I'm already all my day traveling and I know the parties and I want to get the best deal back. Because really what the world changed the last 20 years was this one, the iPhone. And why did it change? Because then we saw that our customers changed their behavior. They didn't want to wait anymore. It's like if I give my daughter my phone and she has to download something and it takes long, she goes to another game. This also happens with guests. They want to have it here, now, in the right language, and want to pay whatever card they want to use. And there we are not even there. And even, why do I have to book my hotels on Booking.com, then I have to go to KLM to book a flight, then I have to go to Hertz to book a car. But now the coronavirus happens, now I have to cancel everything. I have to go to that website, that website, that website, that website to cancel everything. It's not even close what I think is a good experience. Saying that, the really thing what the last 20 years happened was, of course, with the first early adapters, and it was like the Expedia, then we had the disruption, companies like Kayak, companies like comparison website, I think was really good addition, TripAdvisor came with reviews, and that really started disrupting the industry. And I always have a hate-love relationship with the hotels, because they always say, oh, you have to pay with commission. I say, yes, but how do you get an Australian guy to book a hotel in Amsterdam, and you have a boutique hotel? He cannot advertise because it costs too much money. I also have to advertise. And always everybody's looking at the big guys, like Expedia, Booking, 3.2 billion to Google. Divide that number by 1.5 million properties. Then the advertising per property for a hotel is only 3,000. So stop looking at those big numbers. Yes, you're not Google, you will not be Airbnb. But try just to see for your own data, who can I use to get the best people in? Yes, and it will have a cost. But going back, before 95, and still going on, some are bankrupt, like Thomas Cook, they got 40%. They went to an hotel in Torremolinos, say, well, I have a room, 20 euros, and they mark it up to the client, 60 euros. Nobody's talking about that. You know why? because they give money to the hotel, and if you bring in commission bill to the hotel, they say, oh, that's too much. So people don't even understand what the cost is of a booking. Or I had an interview with the Financial Times here in Holland. They said, yeah, you know, we love Airbnb. So why do you love Airbnb? They only charge 3%. Not true. It's 3% plus 12%, but pays the client together still 50%. So what I always say about that people always look at these big tech companies, that you really have to understand what's happening and how we generate business. And if you get, how you say that, if, like Booking.com, gets an initial client to it, the next time you mark them to yourself. Going back to the group travel, because that's why I'm here. But that's why I changed a little bit, no presentation. I don't do it anymore because you guys look at me, you don't look at the screen, all these bullet points and blah blah blah, entertainment. I said 2 years ago, they asked me to join the group travel and corporate travel. I didn't want to. Because I know it's really an old business where it's not automated at all. And as probably a lot of hotels here, especially Mark Possible, who's automating the group travel business, is that everything goes manually. It means we're getting every day 5,000 requests in from our clients, and our clients are Expedia, Hotels.com, Kayak, Agoda. So if you go there, 10 plus rooms, you click on it, you come to us, and we handle it. Because it's a different beast. And then I saw this request goes to our system, very automated, and then to the hotel, and the hotel has to give us a price back, the client has to agree, then we have to make a contract. I said, oh my God, it's really still happening. Because 20 years ago it also went like this. You had to send the call the hotel, was a price, and then call the client. So corporate business even worse. So there's always somebody, secretary, calling the agency, so I have to book my boss into the Hotel in Amsterdam, and then, okay, yeah, it's good, and then they type an email, and then the behind the hotel, they type the reservation in, and then the book is confirmed. It's not from, so what I try to do, is again what I do 20 years. How can we make it easier for the client and for the hotels? Because the problem is, the biggest problem is, that we cannot find people anymore to serve, one, the clients directly. If I have a big event, what I want that my people are busy with, if they organize an event, look people in the eye, because, good example, if you walk into an hotel, how often do you see people looking like this? Yes, one thing, I'm busy with my reservation. Unbelievable. Going to a car rental company, oh, I give you a car, that can all be automated. And what I tried to do 2 years ago when I joined Hotel Planner and Meet Hotel, we are a worldwide company, blah 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 blah, not important. The nice numbers, we're very big in the States. Our clients are Walmart, Novartis, etc. And for you to know, when I started, we did like 200 million, 280 million gross revenue worldwide with 200 people. I'm doing now 500 million, 50 million net revenue with 160 people. And how is it possible? Not because technology is there. The only thing is education to the hotels and to our clients. So the only thing I'm doing 20 years is educate the hotels. Even Booking.com, the software really didn't change. Of course, the website, high conversion, blah, blah, blah. But the most important thing is that your supply, I call it supply hotels, have the right information towards our clients. And that costs a lot of time, a lot of education. People are used to work a certain way, and I try to change that. And then they have time to do more in their hotel, and especially also you can serve more clients and do really what you're good at. Next to that also, what was also I heard from the former people, technology. We provide our technology just free to Best Restaurant. Because we are developing constantly better group software, because we're a tech company. And I think it's nonsense sometimes for that people invest. I just had a hotel chain coming to me, yeah boss, can you look at this? We have this 20 IT people, and they're going to build a whole group software. So you can better throw your money into the water, because it's not going to happen. It's not easy to build good software, but you can also license it and use the best company to do it well. So especially in the group business, and that's what I really want to take away. Okay, the group business is interesting for hotels, not now because there's a lot of cancellations on, for the coronavirus, but for an hotel is a perfect business. And why? If a corporate meeting with 20, 40 people in your hotel, it will be for the hotel will be the highest revenue per available room. Because what happens? They stay in the hotel, so they take breakfast. They will have probably also dinner in the hotel, and they will drink a lot in the bar. So it means that you make much more money than on a leisure guest of 2 or 3 people. Because mostly, if I will go to a city like Dublin or Paris with my girlfriend, I will not eat in the hotel. I will go out. I only need a room. So this is why we and the hotel chains also worldwide see this is a very big chunk of them where they can make a lot of money. And yeah, and we only charge 10%, 8% sometimes. So that's also even cheaper. I was surprised, and that's why that it is now this happening, and what Postillon is a good example, that also in the hotel industry, nobody's really innovated on this part. And that was a surprise to me, but saying that, you can change that. How long do I have? Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. The last part I want to address is where we did already in the first guy who talked today, is about partnerships. You need to work together. I also see never an enemy. A lot of people say, yeah, hotel chains and direct bookings and bookings via us, that's is a different beast. It's not. Because I need the hotel chains to work with me. They need me to give to the client. For instance, I work with Walmart worldwide. They do 100 million on corporate bookings, but they have a preference on which hotels they want to sit. So they can, via me, can work with Walmart. So they can also do it themselves, but the world changed. Also because of the internet, people are not adapted to one chain anymore. All my corporate guests said, okay, I stay down in Hilton in Amsterdam, but next time in London, I want to stay at a boutique hotel. So you cannot, as a chain, only say, I can also have these corporate clients. It's not what they want anymore. The nice thing, the CEO of Accor said 3 years ago, the only way forward is that you have all the hotels into your platform. Because people want to have choice. The clients want to have choice. I also work with the Chinese Seatrip, for instance, and it's not that they have a loyalty program with Hilton or Marriott. They just want to have the best price on the best place for that group or for that corporate meeting. So you need to offer everything. And that's what I believe in constantly, and that's why we work with everybody together. And the automation is needed because I cannot accept anymore, also from my hotels anymore, that they have to wait 4 till 8 days to give an answer back to the client. Because the client, as you said about the iPhone, wants to hear the answer right now. So I need direct rates right away to serve my clients. If not, they will go away. Give an example. I get every year on our platform 10 billion worth of leads, but I only convert 10%. So the whole gap of 950 million is gone, and at most is because we cannot serve the client right away. And not for the best price, but most of it, most important one is that technology can help to serve the client better. And that's what I don't hear often. They always say to me, "Was it doesn't work like that, blah, blah." Yes, it works like that. The client is right, wants to be served. It's not difficult if we make this work together. Last thing I want to give away, I always give some things away for the future, because that's why we're here. What will happen in the coming years? The first speaker said already, I believe that we're stepping in an API economy. I don't know if all people know what API is. Somebody know? Yeah? I will explain. API is very easy. I have a product from hotels and I tap it into a platform. As you know, we have some big guys, Booking, Amazon, Google is expanding really fast now into the travel industry, not with advertising, but also with, we call it a meta search engine. We see also apps WeChat in China, massively big. Everybody uses WeChat over there, want to do business with, order a pizza, order a cab, book an hotel, book a flight, they can pay with one app, they don't care if people see you. But if you're not there with your product, you will lose that customer. Because when I see the next generation, they don't want to go to 42 websites to book something. They want to have in their app, and everybody here in this room who has a product, could be an hotel chain, of one hotel, or a car rental company, has to tap into that. And it makes it every time more easy. That's one thing I think will go. So internet will not getting broader, we're getting smaller. Even look at your iPhone, how many apps are you really using? I'm not using a lot of apps. The only one who will do everything. I like Skyscanner because it covers everything to find a flight. So yeah, what do I need the other apps for? Yeah, maybe what I like about, for instance, some hotel chains who are very smart, and NH hotels for instance, they say, we find out that people will not book directly on our app. So they transformed their app only for in-house. So you walk in, you have your key, you can order something in-house, and it's very successful. Some promotions, everything. But they say the booking part, we tap into other platforms. And that I believe is smart thinking. Don't try, even in group software, I have ING, Marriott, another one, they now invested in a group company. Good luck. They will get fight with each other, but it's not good enough. Yeah, they try it always, they throw away and then a new manager comes. And the other takeaway I want to give, and I always say that I'm a contracting guy. You know, I have a lot of marketing people, and they throw me at eyeballs, and I don't know what eyeballs are because I cannot pay my people with eyeballs. You know, I can people pay with transactions and money in the bank. But really, what I believe is, and especially if you're in hotels or having a product, take care that your product is very well. If your product is very well, people leave you a very good review. Oh. So, Michael, you want to test stop? So I believe is if your product is very well, even big companies like Booking or Google, they want to have you. You have a matter of negotiation because you can negotiate. And then it is not that you have to pay somebody 80% or 70%. And also give me that takeaway. What I heard a lot of times also about commission and all this kind of stuff, everything in this life is negotiable. Except at home with your daughter, nothing is negotiable. But people don't let big companies threat you. I never did. You know, I don't care what big companies say to me. I want to work together, I want to have a mutual partnership for years, and I believe what I'm doing, and nobody threats me. Yeah, that's the rule. So don't do that. The last takeaway, I always say that I always have the 4 T's. Everything you do, and especially technology, you have to remember 4 T's, and that's very, very important. The first thing, technology just has to work. For me, it just has to work. It doesn't have to be the most advanced, it has to work. Second is team. You need a very good team where you can work together and is smart, ask questions, and also challenges you. The last one, even for the startups around here, traction. In the travel industry, you have to make money. And why you have to make money? Now you see coronavirus, if you forget to make money, you go down. And there will be always difficult times. So you need to have money, and last step, of course, the most important one, timing. Sometimes too early. Good example, Netflix started 20 years ago. So a little bit too early, because people didn't have 4G and everything. So they only have successful the last 4 years. So sometimes also if you have a good product, I had 40 companies, I have to use CK, 10 of them. I did 4 successful, for 10 I didn't, because I was not there at the right time, or I was too soon, or the timing was not right. That belongs to it. So sometimes also good, if you sit down with your team and you do a project, and you see it's not working, the version is too low, then kill it. And then just wait. It can also be next year. So that are 4 T's I want to give you, and I think I'm out of my time. Thank you very much. I hope you learned something. If not, ask me questions.
Thank you, Bas. I love the energy and the the cynical undertone that you presented that makes it stick with us, at least with me. One of the things you said at the beginning is that you had a famous quote from your father. I'm always tempted to translate it, but with Matthijs' presentation in mind, I'm not going to go there, but it boiled down to something like, if the heat is on, then make sure that you fight. Now, these are all fighters in this room. We are facing a crisis situation. What would your recommendation be in order to get in that fight? What would you do as a hotelier, the one you have the love and hate relationship?
The first thing we did is we informed our hotels that because we're a global company, we can shift business. So don't start whining, just let's see how we can do things better together. So that's the first thing I do, because I don't want to lose my partners, I want to grow with them. So the first thing is inform them, we are here for you, what can I solve for you? Even Jane from the CFC trip, she has 90% less business. So I asked her, you know, can I help you? She said, yeah, boss, I need business if you're back. So then I said, okay, give me your good rates and then I'll help you. No. And that's what I do there, because if we can book again in China, Thailand, everything, we can boost a lot of business for them. So that means also together in partnership, we work with them. And sometimes people who were arrogant, because of course it's always like that, they say, yeah, now then I send them the right contracts to get the right contract in place where I was waiting for the last 2 years.
So you seize the opportunity.
Yeah, you have to. You have to be flexible and not start. I had a conversation with a chain yesterday. I cannot make an appointment because did you see how much we lost? Yeah, I can say that 10 times to me. What can we do to bring it back? And that's also what Geert tried to tell. You know, look for other opportunities. What I said, 9/11 was all the airplanes were down, but we know, hey, people have a car. So let's, hey, they drive to France. I will say the last minute bookings of this season will be peaking off because people wait, but if I see my bookings window now, it's already 7 days. The only people is postponing the all-inclusive thing. So yeah, try to say I can help you and then
find the opportunity.
Yeah?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The stage is being rearranged for the last portion of this meeting. We're almost there, but please stick with us because it's going to be an exciting part, because we're going to talk about sustainability and the future of your hotels. We will have a number of experts on stage, but in order to introduce it, please help me in welcoming Executive Academic Director of the Swiss Education Group grants, SHMS and IHTTI. And I feel for this branch because I've been attached to a hotel school for a long time here in the Netherlands. So please give it up for Jeroen Gees.
Thank you, Sander, for that introduction. Thank you for joining this last part of the official program before the networking starts, or I think how they call it here, the Vrijmibo, which we're going to have. We'll just have a few minutes of introduction and afterwards introduce the panelists for the discussion, have a discussion with the panelists, and I invite you to ask some questions as well. So that is the program for here. So the seats are empty still. In a moment I will introduce our panelists and we'll come up on stage. The climate emergency, the future of our hotels, or sorry, your hotels, is obviously a very important and current topic. It is for us too in education. We have, as institutions of higher education, the responsibility and the opportunity to actually shape the future influencers and decision makers, and especially for hospitality leaders of the future. We have this need to help them or to help transform a very highly impactful business. At the Swiss Hotel Management School, which you see a picture of here, and there should be a clicker somewhere, I guess. Here it is. We have these very close relationships with the companies and the students that we work with. Sustainability and CSR are quite high on our agenda. We have very active partnerships, and I think the word partnership has been mentioned so many times this evening, and I'm very happy to be here because we have a partnership with Bidroom and with Meet Hotel. This is the way that we actually develop our curriculum and how we develop and put sustainability further on the agenda. For us, getting our students skill ready, our 2,000 plus graduates a year, skill ready for the needs of the industry is somewhat of a priority for us, especially considering the rapid changes that are happening in the industry at this time. And these efforts are not only for sustainability, of course, there's other areas in the industry as well, but it's very clear that education for sustainability is becoming more and more on the forefront and actually is becoming more important to a variety of our stakeholders. Just thinking about student success, what we clearly see is that in the set of transferable skills or soft skills, like problem solving, creative thinking, emotional intelligence, cross-cultural awareness, that so-called green skills, or the ability to have these professional, vocational skills that are linked with the greening of jobs, are actually gaining of importance as well. Companies, they expect, and they should expect, an understanding from students in terms of their lifestyle choices and their travel habits and what the impacts actually are on the world. At the same time, companies should also expect from students the understanding, the creativity and the motivation to positively impact the companies that they are going to work for. And that is our job to do as educators, developing the students or the leaders of tomorrow. Well, it is clear, and it's mentioned a few times here today already, that the demand for green consumerism is not limited to the younger generation or Gen Z or the centennials or whatever you wish to call them. But just looking at it from an hotel management student perspective, it is very clear that just when they are the same ways that they're selecting hotels and restaurants in your case, is that they actually look at the sustainable efforts of the schools that they're choosing in terms of, which is influencing their choices. What is also very interesting, and this may resonate with you as well, is that students actually expect a lot from the schools, but they're not willing as much to make the sacrifices themselves. They're not willing as much to eat less meat or to fly less. They're expecting more the companies, in our case the school, to actually make these choices for them, which is an interesting situation to be in. Well, despite that, students, they do advocate sustainability. They want to learn about sustainability, and specifically at schools that have sustainability high on the agenda. And this really requires a transformative approach and not a transmissive one. We really need to ensure that we practice the formal learning of sustainability, but also practice this in the operational outcomes of the school and the organization. This learning happens experientially, not by sitting in a classroom and obviously only listening to it. So it's really the seeds that we plant now, however simple they are, that can lead to a big impact when we spread and multiply this around the world. At our schools, I have another picture of it, at our schools, students lead sustainable committees. They drive initiatives like food wastage competitions, carbon neutral events, meat-free Mondays, Go Green Week, you name it. Then they are the ones who are actually driving these initiatives. Our culinary division uses local produce, grows our own herbs and vegetables in our gardens. In addition to its students, provides housing for 35,000 bees that are taken care of by our students. And since 1902, when this building was constructed, we're actually using water that is coming directly off the mountains into a basin that is just above the building, and this is what we drink and shower with every day. So our students are literally showering in Evian every day, which is in short, sustainability and the strategies alongside with that, the green skills, they're not a nice to have, they are a need to have. They influence the purchase decisions, the reputations, and deserve a prominent position on the agenda of every company. Its continuous growth and the importance have brought with it a range of initiatives and innovative ideas that, a new scope of industry leaders as presented here today, but also as presented by this panel in a moment, So I'm very excited to actually have them come here on stage and talk more about the future of the industry and the future of sustainability and how we together can really provide a sustainable future for the industry leaders of tomorrow. Give them a round of applause in a moment if they come up, please. Yeah. So we have first wait. I first read, then yeah. So we have an Italian, educated in New York City, former competitive alpine skier, entrepreneur in the music industry. He launched Uber in Italy, expanded WeWork across the globe, and he's an ambassador for Charity Water. Now, Pat is the global head of launch and partnerships at Selina, which is a nomadic lifestyle brand that accommodates the needs of a new generation of travelers. Will you come up here? Where are you, Mr. Pat? I'm going to go to you. Next, we have a serial entrepreneur who focused on leading the travel industry through a sustainability revolution. Richard is the founder and CEO of One Planet Rating, the world's first dedicated review platform for sustainable travel and tourism. Richard is also the founder of Congress for Environmental Advancement, an award-winning NGO that reaps huge success across universities to advance the popularity of sustainability with our students. And yes, we already spoke about that. Previously, Richard co-founded Conavir, a P2P networking mobile tech hub with offices in Sweden, Palo Alto, Tokyo, and Seoul. Richard is a global speaker within sustainability, entrepreneurship, social impact, and travel. It is quite a mouthful, but please give him a round of applause. Here is Richard. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we have Erik van Dijk, who runs the Green Key in the Netherlands. For Green Key, he is the national operator. Van Dijk has a long experience in hospitality and tourism as he worked for product development at the Netherlands Board of Tourism. With 670 Green Keys, the Netherlands has the most worldwide Green Key certified accommodations. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Erik van Dijk. And last but certainly not least, and actually maybe we should have done this first, is Martine, who is an entrepreneur, keen kite surfer, and an expert in positive psychology, who loves creating a valuable engagement that gets people to act in positive ways for people and planet. She's the co-founder and head of strategic partnerships at Choose, a digital platform that enables travel and hospitality brands to offer market-leading carbon offset programs for their travelers and guests directly within the existing customer experience. Choose helps individuals and organizations reduce their unavoidable carbon footprint by connecting with the best CO2 reducing projects around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage as well, Ms. Martine Van. So, well, Richard, we start with you. As the CEO of One Planet Rating, the first dedicated review platform for sustainable travel and tourism, you probably have quite a good insight on the behaviors and requirements of the sustainable traveler. Can you describe it a bit more? Who is the sustainable traveler, and how can we, are there certain demographics that we need to think about?
Okay, everybody can hear? Good. Let me start maybe by saying who they're not. So people have a tendency to think when I say sustainable tourism or sustainable travel, either as some kind of super rich, expensive eco lodge, $600 a night or above. Or on the other extreme, you have people that take the sailing boat to go to New York from Europe. These two are not the people we're trying to attract. I would say it's more the early majority rather than the early adopters. So we call it in marketing speak low has, lifestyle and sustainability. So it's about, in the West, 30% of the population, so it's a sizable market. People that, maybe like yourselves, shop for organic food when you see it in the normal stores that you can go. choose your brands based on your values and lifestyle. Have some interest in different types of sustainability issues. And they are quite vocal about their experiences, which is interesting for you guys in the hotel space. They spend longer, they spend more money. So very valuable group to reach out to. And so this kind of early majority that I speak of, I think it's also confirmed by a lot of studies from, I think, Booking.com. They have a yearly travel survey, and Nielsen, also some others. It's about two-thirds of the people that are surveyed, which are normal travelers, again, not some extreme, that indicate that they want to travel sustainably or book a sustainable minded hotel.
So what do they look for most? What are maybe some concrete examples that you can share when it comes to these travelers? What do they really look for?
So it depends, of course, where you're from, right? So we have different interests and backgrounds. So in Sweden, where I'm from, Nordics, maybe it's a little bit more environmental sustainability factors that people think about. Renewable energy, food waste has become very big as well. When we see the reviews on the platform from other countries, maybe a little bit more south in Europe, it's more the social/cultural sustainability that's more popular to rate. For example, how architecture of the city, if it blends in, or the mix of local business versus international brands and things like that. So it's very much different based on where you're from.
All right. Thank you for that. We'll move over to Eric. Eric, as the Dutch organization that runs Green Key in the Netherlands, you've come across an issue that is called greenwashing. Could you tell us a little bit more about what this is and what we can do about it?
Yes, thank you. Greenwashing is window dressing. Greenwashing. You have always in every business the good guys and the bad guys. And sustainability is of course big business, and there are always companies who try to get money out of this trends and or new paradigms, because it's not going over. I think the trend is always going over, but sustainability isn't. And well, how can you control that? You can control that with institutions. You can control that with systems. And as we have in our branch of hotels, we have an out-of-home products. You can't control what you get. If you have a menu and you have biological food, is it really biological food? It doesn't have a stamp on your plate, so it has to be controlled. And I think that labels can control that. And for the hospitality, there are some labels like Travel Life, Green Globe, and Green Key, who are checking the process in the accommodations for customers.
Right, and how does Green Key particularly help the hotel's performance? Are there certain examples that you can share with us?
Yes, we have in the Netherlands about 400 to 5,500 hotels, and totally 700 accommodations who have Green Key. And I think that Green Key is not only a label for the image of the hotel, it's also a instrument with very practical things on water saving, on food and beverage, on cleaning products, using, etc., in all parts of your accommodation. And we very practically are running with the hotels the system so that they can implement saving costs and that sort of things. Yes.
Excellent, thank you. We'll move over to Martina. So, Martina, you're the co-founder and head of strategic partnerships at Choose. What makes Choose so attractive to the modern sustainable traveler? What is it exactly that you do?
So, as you mentioned, we're a platform that makes it possible for brands within hospitality and aviation to offer consumer offsetting. So we basically make it possible for you guys to reduce the unavoidable footprint that you have. And we have three main segments, and that is one, sort of technology. So we make it possible for automatic calculation of the actual footprint of the hotel stay or the flight itself, integrated in the whatever platform we're at. Secondly, it's how we choose the projects, the CO2 reducing projects. We have a third-party carbon advisory board that are neutral, so they're choosing the best projects at all times, so we're not vested into choosing one project over another. Thirdly, it's all about engagement for us, so how do you actually engage consumers? And we think that sustainability has a big branding problem, that you don't engage anyone about talking about what you should not do, point the fingers and doomsday fear. So what is it that we can do? And we say that we don't want to be green and grumpy, we want to be pink and positive. We don't talk about the meat-free Mondays that you do, we say pancake Mondays. So we really engage consumers that way, yeah.
All right, excellent. You mentioned that you also have this integrated within your business model. Could you explain a little bit more about how your business model is also sustainable?
Sure. So we saw very early on that legacy players in the carbon field, they work mainly as consultants, and the consultancy business model is not very scalable, or it's expensive, and often we see that the consumers pay 2 to 10 times the actual underlying price of carbon. We wanted to challenge that, so we're, first of all, technology first, so we can scale rapidly, and then with 100% transparency, then we just, we're open about the price of the actual projects, the CO2 reducing projects. We choose them together with the clients or our partners, and then we put a small technology fee on top of that. So we're vested into the same deal, put our eggs in the same sort of basket as our partners, and if there's a high opt-in rate, then we're commercially successful.
Right, excellent, very interesting. The students that we speak to, that I speak to, they are sometimes somewhat critical or skeptical about these initiatives, feeling that the responsibility lays with the company, not so much with themselves. How would you respond to something like that?
Well, first of all, we also have a normal subscription model, a platform for normal subscription, and we have a lot of young students and young sort of subscribers. So they're kind of our main supporters. But secondly, is that most, or if not all of the partners, the big enterprises that we work with, they're doing their part of the game. So we just launched a consumer offsetting program with Heathrow and also Norwegian Airlines. So in every checkout of Norwegian Airlines globally, you can choose to offset with Choose. And what I think is brilliant with that particular program is that in the process it says that this particular flight is 18% less or whatever percent less, emits X amount percent less than the industry standard. Do you want to offset the rest? So it shows that the partner is committed in doing their part of offsetting in the product the whole chain. So I mean, it has to be some sort of joint venture, some sort of joint effort. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. So Pat, sorry, we'll move over to you. So Selina was launched with a mission of inspiring authentic and meaningful connections through the world's first work, stay and play ecosystem. Could you mention what type of sustainable measures you have in your day-to-day work, and what kind of things are you doing in your day-to-day for sustainability?
Yes. So first of all, Selina was started in Panama in 2015. We are right now around 65 locations all over Latin America. We're expanding in Europe and the US in 2019. And we believe that sustainability starts from the moment that you land in a new city. So we're growing very, very fast, and we want to have that approach every time that we go to a new market, to a new city. We start very, very early. We look for properties, for distressed properties. We're always looking for beautiful locations. We work with distressed properties in areas that actually need that kind of energy that we can bring with our community, with our travelers, and with the local. So we get this location, and we actually find inside the furnitures, and we upcycle these furnitures. We get recycled material. We also buy the rest of the furnitures in second-hand markets, and we use mostly local community to build our location. We have local artists coming to do graffiti. We have designers from the community. We get local chefs. We get local organic food for our restaurant. And that's like the beginning, like the early approach that we do in sustainability in our locations. We expanding. We want to bring this up, and we actually created two programs. One called Selina Gives Back, and the second one is called Selina Hospitality Program. So the first one, Selina Gives Back, is a program where all our employees needs to donate 2% of their time for volunteering activities with no-profits and local organizations. I actually help Charity Water, which is a charity they provide the clean and safe water for underdeveloped countries. And every year we count these communities and we count these profits that we have, these non-profits that we have. At the same time, we have the project that we're really proud of, which is Selina Hospitality Program. So we are in cities where probably there are poor people. We are many cities in Latin America, and people don't have the opportunities. They don't have the chance to grow in their career, to grow in their life. So we organize this program where we teach them hospitality. We bring them come to our location. We teach theory and practice. We give them the tools. We do F&B, we do housekeeping, we do reception, and at the same time we also teach them how to present themselves. We make a resume, we make a CV, we help them to do an interview. We track this with KPIs. So we're looking at 30 graduates every year in every location, every Selina location, with a 50% goal of employment after the program. They get the certification, they can go to a hotel chain, local hotel chain, or even bigger hotel chain, or they can actually go to higher education if they want after our program. We got 496 graduates, we got 65% employment for all these guys, and we are really, really proud that we're keeping this, for us, the impact team is working very hard to make this happen every day. At the same time, something that we're bringing also in sustainability is we're testing now a pilot in Costa Rica to become 100% permanent carbon neutral locations. We want to do that. We are starting to do that in Costa Rica. We have 10 locations there. We expect to become carbon neutral 100% by 2022 and to expand also to different locations around the world. We really believe and we feel responsible as a hospitality company, and I believe here many people, many hotel owners, we need to be we need to work with local communities to bring this shift to the market.
Very interesting that you track this as well with KPIs that you present on your website, I presume.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
Very interesting. Also, on looking at Selina, you've launched a new loyalty program called Luna. Could you explain a little bit about what Luna is?
Yes, absolutely. So we launched this program last August in 2019. It's called Luna. It's a loyalty program. It allows our guests. We have a community of guests that return to our location. We have many guests that extend the stay. Many guests that come back. Many guests that feel safe, like being inside Selina everywhere in the world. So we offer them the chance to book locations through our app, Selina app, and to redeem tokens, to get tokens to redeem nights in Selina. So now, the goal of this is, there are 100,000 probably loyalty programs everywhere. Every hotel, every travel company has loyalty program. We want to do something different. We are trying to disrupt also this approach, and we want to also work in the impact and sustainability. So we say do good and get rewarded. So if you do good, if you participate in activities that we organize, such as beach cleanup, such as reforestation, such as such a workshop about climate change. So if you guests participate in these, you get up to 250 tokens that you can use for 3 nights. That's something that we're really trying to do as approach.
Thank you. Yeah, very interesting to hear this story from your journey there. I want to ask a question to all of you, and just whoever grabs the microphone first is the one that answers, basically. So that's a question about choice. It's a question about voluntary versus mandatory sustainable implementation. Where do we draw the line? Is there a line? Do we leave this up to the customer, and how far can we influence this? Who would like to take the first? Yeah.
if you look to Greeky, we have mandatory and voluntary criteria, and I think for all of us, it's for your product, for your service, it's always the balance between hospitality and the environmental impact and the environmental measures you can take in your accommodation. So it's up to the, I think, to the entrepreneur where that line is, and of course you have some criteria you have really, or some measures you have really to take. In saving energy, saving water, and the low fruit you can take off. You have also entrepreneurs who have also got in their own heart that they want to be sustainable, and they do a lot more. So I think it's up to the entrepreneur themselves.
Yes, I feel like, especially working with guests every day, I believe today the guests make decision. So they make decision, they choose what they want to do, they choose where they want to go. If the hospitality company is 100% carbon neutral, they want to become carbon neutral as well. And I think this is super interesting. So the line, I believe, is the guest. The line is our customer. So we always need to listen to them. We always need to get their feedback and to build our companies through them. And that's probably like the shift.
So even taking away individual amenities, you would not take away individual amenities if the guests would actually want to have individual amenities, or would you replace it with bulk containers? Where's that line?
No, absolutely. I think mostly the guests they can make decision. They can make the decision in wasting less water, using less water, eating less meat, reducing the energy, so turning off the lights. And I feel once the company support that and we track that and we understand that that's doable, and we can also help them to realize this. I think that makes it the perfect match.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean from us, what we see also in the discussions with bigger hotel chains, especially in the Nordics, is that they already see sustainability as a competitive edge for them. I mean, you have a lot of people, not only the ones using our platform, that would definitely look at what the hotel is doing in terms of sustainability, and they have their own particular issues and choose accordingly. So I think the future, among others, lies in you being very competitive with sustainability, which means going beyond the basic and really competing on it. Our vision with the platform is also to stimulate and race to the top among hoteliers and others in the hospitality industry.
I think I tapped into that before, that we see the opt-in solution that if I use the Norwegian case again, it works very well. It's way above the industry standard of opt-ins because we're giving the consumers a choice, and he feels that it has a value. Everything that you just get for free, you don't feel the same value of it, but I think it feels even more valuable, and that they do opt in because they know that Norwegian airlines are doing a lot on their own. So it's all about sort of showing that you are cutting emissions, and then you sort of offset the unavoidable on top of that.
Leading the way.
Yeah, it's not instead of, it's kind of together with.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Yeah. But this kind of leads me into the next question. That's really a question about where is this all going? What do you see as the future of sustainability? What are the future trends or future things that the audience and ourselves need to think about when it comes to sustainability? What is the next big thing?
Well, I think there are two. You have measures in your hotel which guests can see, and you have a lot of they don't see about saving energy and climate systems and all those techniques. But I think that the big issues for the next years are really the single-use plastics. How can we reduce them? We will also see in the European Union new legislation about using plastics. And another thing I think that is very popular also for what comes out of the kitchen, the vegan, less meat, and also how can you reduce food waste. I think that are big things which our customers also where customers also are interested in, when they see that you are taking a lot of effort to improve better on that things.
First of all, I believe that the industry of hospitality and aviation can really lead the way, because you can reach millions of people every day. So to create those habits within your industry that they can take with them home, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Another thing that I believe we're going to see much more of is the whole measuring of carbon, so that now we know the fat and the sugar and the salt of what we eat. We know if this is cotton or polyester, but we have no idea what's the actual carbon footprint of the cereal we eat or what I'm wearing now. So I think that we're going to see much more of that, and that people are going to choose goods and services after if they are low carbon or not. So low carbon diets and sort of just much more awareness of that. And I think that's definitely going to become a competitive advantage as well.
It's very interesting. The underlying awareness of the iceberg in terms of all the value chain. Yeah, exactly. Very interesting. Richard?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a balance between short-term goals, some of which Eric mentioned, that are more something that people can engage with today, like food waste or water or something like that. But for the long term, I think I usually talk about 3 zeros. So that's what you should also communicate and make sure that your short-term goals are integrated into those. And the 3 zeros are, of course, emissions is one. Kilometers is another, which means use local material, cut down transport needed to construct your buildings and other things like that. And the third zero is waste. So basically adopt circular management style and way of treating your resources.
Yes, so I agree with everybody here. We touch the real points, the future. We look at the future. I think I want to add just probably a future trend that is it sounds very far. We're talking about probably 2050 will be migration. We have climate change and climate crisis in many countries. And these countries are going to be affected from the climate, and people are going to try to move from these countries to different countries. So I believe migration will be a very, very big trend in the next years. And so if we start planning, especially people that work in real estate, especially people that work in the development of the city, we need to understand how to prepare for this big movement of people coming to spaces where are safe and people can live a better life, a better quality of life.
Excellent, thank you very much. We have time for just 1 or 2 questions from the audience. Are there any questions for this wonderful panel?
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Well, if there's no question, I have one last question then on behalf of the audience. That is, what do you advise? What are the priorities when it comes to sustainability? What would you want everybody to walk away with today?
I'll start next. So I think, especially hotel owners, we do this business. We think that we offer a stay, so people can stay with us. They can spend they can enjoy time, and so we provide a platform where people just stay. I believe this is not enough. I believe we need to help these people to connect. We live in probably the most connected time of ever in our life. People are super connected today. They can find information, they can speak with everybody everywhere in the world. But there is loneliness. There is loneliness, and these people are not really connected. It's just an illusion. It's just an online connection. So we need to bring, as a platform, as a hospitality platform, we need to bring these people together. We need to get them together. And it doesn't matter the money that you spend in our stay. At the end of the day, what it matters is the energy and the experience that these people have. So for example, for us, we track how many guests make friendship, and today we can say 60% of our guests make friendships. And also mental health. Mental health is real, exists, and I think we need to understand how to help this trend and how hospitality can participate.
Thank you, very interesting. Now, like to add something?
I just want to say, I mean, you're going to do a lot of efforts in different fields of sustainability, so make sure you get something out of it also together with your guests. Make sure you engage and let them communicate to others in their circles what you're doing. And by being authentic and very smart in how you communicate it, I think you can go a long way and actually drive more business through these issues. Put your ear to the ground and listen to what is going on in the different fields of sustainability and pick issues that are relevant for you to work with.
Okay, so first of all, I think that at the moment sustainability is a competitive advantage, but very soon it's going to be a commodity. So you have to just integrate it, and then it's about how you're integrating it. And as I said, I'm very much into positive psychology. I don't think you should shame anyone. I don't think you should talk about what you should not do. Think about what you can do. And I go as far as to say I'm not talking about carbon neutrality. I think neutral is a very boring word, but we talk about climate positivity. So first of all, it means to sort of reduce more than the actual footprint that you leave behind, but also in regards to how you think about it. And communicate about it. So no more meat-free Mondays, dude. Final words.
Final words, very good.
Yes, if you don't know how to implement sustainability or measurements in your hotel, in your accommodation, I should advise you look at greenkey.nl. Very practical. And whatever you do, you don't have to be certified, but you can just look at the criteria that are. And don't forget to tell your guests that what you want to do. That's very important. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give the panel a big round of applause. And last but not least, I would like to extend the invitation to the Meet Hotel conference, which will be happening on the 28th of November in Switzerland at the Swiss Hotel Management School. You're all obviously invited for that as well. Please join us there. Thank you very much.